The following are properties, original work, creations, and ideas of Kelebogile Sehoa. The ElementRings brand includes, but is not limited to, the ElementRings Pty Ltd company, the ElementRings script, comic book or manga script, characters, movie script, ElementRings merchandise, and Negu brand. All rights claimed and reserved by Kelebogile Sehoa. Hello and welcome back to ElementRings. We are going to continue from where we left off, but before that, a quick recap. Botlhale washed his uniform and even made up with his best friend Tisetso. When everyone went to sleep, one of four unidentified beings, each occupying a quadrant of the universe, noticed something rather disturbing and wants to address the matter. Listen to this conversation very carefully because it'll be important in the future. Before we continue, please check out the previous videos so you are all caught up. Now let's continue with the story. He doesn't have his rings anymore. But how is that possible? One of the beings thinks to himself. He then asks, Mero, your power seems to have depleted exponentially. Are you okay, brother? He sounded benign or gentle. Mero answered and said, Yes, brother, I'm okay. He sounded mellow or easygoing. Then the benign one asked another question. Then why do you seem this weak? This question caught the attention of the other two. Mero was scared to answer because he could feel that his brothers had so many conclusions in their heads and some of them were not pleasant. The third one then said, Now that you mention it, brother, Mero does seem weaker than what we are used to. Don't lie to us, Mero. We can all feel that you are far from okay. This one sounded ferocious or extreme. Mero knew he was in trouble. Tell us what's going on, Mero, said the fourth one, and he sounded like he was the strongest or the steadiest of the four. Since Mero knew that he shared a telepathic connection with his brothers, he had gone out of his way to limit them from reading his thoughts completely, but now he could feel that he couldn't block them any longer. As Mero was deep in thought of what he had done, the benign being asked, Mero, care to tell us where your rings are? Mero then thought, Oh no, he knows my secret. I should have known he'd be the one to catch on to me. The strong being then asked, Mero, what have you done? The benign being then said, Mero doesn't have his rings on him anymore, and judging by how weak he is now, I'd say it's been roughly 5 decades. This came as a shock to the other two beings and it angered them immensely. 50 years? Mero, how could you be so careless? Asked the strong being. The ferocious one angrily asked, Were you not thinking of the consequences of not having your rings anymore? Mero replied, I'm sorry. I thought you guys would opt to help me retrieve them. It's been 200 years since we saw each other. The strong one then asked, So you wanted us to see one another? And how were you planning on making that happen? Don't you remember? We are light years away from one another. The reality of his mistake was beginning to dawn on him, and he politely said, Well, if you all opted to accompany me where they are, we'd see each other. That's how. As I was about to share the news with everyone, I remembered how you two would be angry, and that scared me, so I kept it a secret for the past 50 years. The benign being then said, Mero, 50 years is a long time. You could have died. You know those rings are the reasons why we are able to continue living. The ferocious being then said, Help you retrieve them? Don't be selfish. We are not risking everyone's lives due to your foolishness. The strong being said, I'm afraid he's right. We might not agree on a lot, but he's got a point. The benign being then said, Hold on, let's back up a bit. Mero, did you say accompany you where they are? Where are your rings, Mero? Mero felt overwhelmed and attacked and cheekily said, You never gave me the chance to say. You are all pestering me. The strong and ferocious beings simultaneously said, How dare you? Mero got scared and softly said, They are on earth. The benign being then said, Mero, how careless can you be? You know we can't leave this place. We made a lifelong pact never to leave our quadrant. After the benign being said what he said, Mero replied, And here I was thinking you'd be the one to understand. The benign being then said, I'm sorry, Mero, but you are on your own. The ferocious being then said, Yes, you are. You brought this upon yourself, so you go by yourself, or I swear I'll... Before he could finish his sentence, the strong being said, Calm down. I'm sure Mero fully understands his mistakes. He'll go retrieve his rings and come right back. There's no need for threats. Just get your rings back and we'll make sure to make up for your absence. That's the least we can do. Too much is at stake if we leave our posts. Mero was disappointed that his plan was failing right in front of his eyes. Mero replied, Fine. I'll go retrieve my rings myself. It should take me 3 days to get there, an additional 4 days to retrieve the rings. I should be back here in a week or so. The ferocious being then said, Whatever, but I'd get everything done in half that time. And then he laughs. Before he leaves for Earth, Mero turns himself into a giant rock that resembles an asteroid so he can travel safely throughout space. The last part of his body to be enveloped by this rock material was his left hand, which slowly detached a chain from itself right before the rock material completely enveloped Mero. While traveling in that asteroid form, Mero thought, This should be easy. I can at least sense one of my rings. Things didn't go according to plan, but at least I get to go home. Back on Earth, the day is Thursday and it is nighttime, 18 hours before Mero arrives. Botlhale and his little brothers have to go to school the next day and then head to Mainland Mall with their parents after school. And that's the end of the 8th release. As you all heard, there are 4 beings that are actually brothers. They each occupy a quadrant of the universe and even made a pact never to leave those areas. What could be the reason for this pact? More importantly, who are they and what are these rings they keep referring to? In other news, Botlhale is finally going to Mainland Mall. I bet he won't be able to fall asleep due to how excited he is. Be sure to turn on your notification bells so you don't miss the next release. And remember, don't be afraid to interact with one another or me in the comment section. That will help improve the overall experience of the story for all of us. Thank you for tuning in and bye for now.